A 6-month-old baby, completely paralyzed, lay still in his crib, just like every other night. But when his puppy did the unimaginable, what unfolded next left everyone in sheer disbelief. Was this truly a miracle? The house was steeped in silence, the only sound coming from the faint hum of the baby monitor. A dim nightlight bathed the nursery in a soft, golden glow, casting gentle shadows across the room. In the crib, 6-month-old Noah lay completely still. His tiny chest rose and fell in a steady rhythm, his breathing calm, yet his legs remained motionless, just as they had for months. No playful kicking, no wiggling toes, no trace of movement at all. Doctors had told his parents, Olivia and Ryan, that there was nothing they could do. No diagnosis, no cure, just an unexplainable paralysis that left them with nothing but questions and heartbreak. Outside the nursery, Olivia sat curled up on the couch, clinging to a small baby blanket she hadn't washed in weeks. It still carried the faint scent of Noah's newborn innocence, a painful reminder of the little boy who once stretched his legs freely, who once reached out for her with bright, eager hands. Her eyes welled with tears as she turned to Ryan, who sat beside her, his expression empty, his gaze fixed on the floor. "I don't know how much more I can take," she whispered, her voice so fragile it barely carried through the room. It was as if saying the words out loud would make them too real. What if this is it? What if he never moves again? Ryan inhaled deeply, rubbing a tired hand over his face. "We have to keep believing," he said, but even he sounded unconvinced. Hope had become something distant, something slipping further from their grasp each day. At their feet, their golden retriever puppy, Milo, lifted his head, his ears perked up, his warm brown eyes darting from Olivia to Ryan, then toward the nursery door. He had always gravitated toward Noah, staying beside the crib, as if he understood something wasn't right. But tonight, something was different. His body tensed, his tail stilled. He wasn't just resting near Noah. He was watching him. Olivia noticed but pushed the thought away. "At least he loves Noah," she murmured. "I just wish love was enough to fix this." But what no one knew was that love was about to do something extraordinary, something that would leave them completely breathless, something that would change their lives forever. The night stretched on, heavy with silence. Olivia and Ryan remained on the couch, too exhausted to talk, yet too restless to sleep. The weight of the unknown crushed them. Their days reduced to hospital visits, endless research, and prayers that seemed to go unanswered. Meanwhile, in the nursery, Noah slept peacefully, unaware of the heartache his parents carried. His small hands rested near his chest, fingers slightly curled. His leg, however, remained still, unchanged, unmoving, frozen in time. Milo lay beside the crib, his warm eyes fixed on Noah. For weeks, he had been like this, refusing to leave the baby's side. Olivia and Ryan had assumed it was just instinct, a puppy's innocent loyalty. But lately, his behavior had shifted. He wasn't just keeping Noah company. He was guarding him, watching him, waiting for something. And that night, the waiting turned into something else. Suddenly, Milo's ears twitched. He stood up abruptly, pacing in small circles near the crib. His eyes flicked from Noah to the door, then back again. Something was making him restless. His usual calm had vanished, replaced by something urgent, something unspoken. Then, without warning, he placed his front paws on the crib's edge and let out a low, desperate whimper. He nudged the bars with his nose, then glanced back toward the doorway, as if trying to call someone, anyone. Olivia's eyes snapped open. She sat up straight, brow furrowed. "Did you hear that?" she asked, turning to Ryan. He was already rising to his feet. "Yeah, that was Milo." They rushed toward the nursery, their hearts pounding, not from fear, but from something they couldn't name yet. When they reached the doorway, they froze. Milo stood on his hind legs, pressing his nose against the crib's bars. Another soft whimper escaped him, his tail wagging ever so slightly. But it wasn't just Milo's behavior that stopped Olivia in her tracks. It was Noah. His tiny fingers twitched. It was barely a movement, just the faintest shift, but Olivia saw it. Her breath hitched, her hands flying to her mouth. "Ryan," she whispered, gripping his arm. "Look at his hand." Ryan's eyes widened, and they both stood frozen, watching. Then it happened again. A tiny, deliberate motion. Noah's fingers curled and uncurled, weak but unmistakable, as if something deep inside him was stirring awake after months of stillness. Milo let out another soft whimper, pressing his head closer against the crib, as if he knew. This moment was important. Tears streamed down Olivia's face as she reached for her son, brushing her trembling fingers against his hand, needing to feel it for herself. Noah's fingers curled slightly around hers. A gasp tore from her throat. "Ryan!" "I see it," Ryan choked out, his voice breaking. "I see it." For the first time in months, the darkness lifted. The sleepless nights, the helplessness, the devastating weight of uncertainty, none of it mattered anymore. Because right here in front of them, their son, who had been still for so long, was moving. And then, just as Olivia was about to scream for a doctor, just as Ryan fumbled to pull out his phone to capture the moment, Noah's entire hand lifted. Shaky, slow, but filled with more strength than they had seen in months. And then his legs twitched. Barely a shift, just the smallest, tiniest movement beneath the blanket. But it was real. Ryan sank to the edge of the crib, hands gripping the bars as if to steady himself. Olivia fell to her knees, sobbing. Milo barked, a soft, excited sound, as if he had been waiting for this moment all along. And then Noah's eyes fluttered open, deep brown and full of innocence. They blinked up at his parents, unaware of the miracle they had just witnessed. His gaze drifted toward Milo. The puppy wagged his tail, letting out the happiest bark yet. And in that moment, Noah lifted his hand, stretching toward the little golden retriever who had never left his side. Tears streamed down Olivia's face as she realized the truth. Sometimes, miracles don't come in the ways we expect. Sometimes, they don't come through doctors or medicine or things we can understand. Sometimes, miracles have 4 legs and a wagging tail. And sometimes, love is enough.